surfaces. This is so-called anterior or the sternocostal surface. Why is it sternocostal? Because immediately anterior to it we have the sternum plus the adjacent costal cartilages, and then the tray or my hand is the diaphragmatic surface because the heart is positioned on the diaphragm. Well, actually, it is suspended mostly by so-called root of the heart. So these are the vessels that originate from the right-left ventricle, or they end in the right-left atrium. But part of the heart is positioned on top of the diaphragm. And then we have the surface that is sometimes in the textbooks you may find it's not actually properly presented, but this is so-called posterior aspect, posterior surface, where actually majority belongs to one of the heart chambers that is invisible in these remaining two. Means we don't see the left atrium in the anterior or in this diaphragmatic surface. We can see it only from the back. Now, as you can see, well, in the heart you can distinguish several important elements. One of the important elements that help us to actually to determine position is just the apex of the heart that fully belongs to the left atrium. Of course, in case of the dextrocardia, it belongs to the right ventricle, but normally it's only 1 per million, and normally it is present here it belongs to the left ventricle. And we can see a groove that goes down to this down between the left and right ventricles. So this is the groove that splits two ventricles, and this is why it's called interventricular groove, interventricular sulcus. I hope that we've learned at least that groove is a sulcus by far. Now, see that within this groove we have a vessel, and actually, so the most prominent is this artery here on top, and we have here also the little, maybe insignificant vein that goes in company with this vessel. Same here, we can find this is the same artery, and that is the vein. Vein is usually small, collapsed, but it goes farther together with the artery. Usually each artery goes here in company with the vein, and there are some independent veins as well. So that is the groove that separates right ventricle from the left ventricle. And when we go to the diaphragmatic surface, we can see the next groove that is also seen here, and we can see that it separates same left ventricle from the right ventricle, and this time with respect to this anterior, this is the posterior interventricular groove. And we can see also the vessels here. There is a vessel here within this interventricular groove. We can see same vessels within this interventricular groove. We can see the artery, we can see the vein as well. And in this in this inferior or the diaphragmatic surface, you can see also some other elements. For instance, here we can see the inferior vena cava. That's the inferior vena cava that opens into the right atrium of the heart. Generally, right atrium of the heart is this place where the veins, big systemic veins meet together, superior and inferior. This is the inferior. As you can see, there is it's about 1 centimeter fragment of the inferior vena cava that opens directly into the right atrium. And then, it's hard to see, but there is also the groove that separates atria from the ventricles. We can see this groove here in this heart. That is a groove that separates right ventricle from the right atrium, and then right ventricle from the right atrium on top, and then significantly more exactly we can see this is the left ventricle from the left atrium. So that groove that separates generally atria from the ventricles, in the past it was just the atrioventricular, so everyone could be actually I think that everyone was aware what this name means. Now it's just a coronary sulcus because it goes around the heart like a crown, and it separates atria from the ventricles. This coronary sulcus also contains important elements, important vessels. So the first thing to see here is just to denote which elements are dominant when you see the heart in these three different projections.